best three-point shooting team in the Big East Conference. Defensively, UConn a little better, but Ronnie, here's one you got to keep an eye on.
That's right. BC's got to shoot it in this game, and Connecticut needs to control the backboards. For BC to win, they've got to hold their own on the boards. Connecticut, the more up-tempo team, although BC likes to run as well. If BC can get out in front early, we'll see an up-and-down game.
UConn has won every meeting in this building, and Jody Sylvester, the referee, set to go. The umpires are Bob Donato and Steve Quinn. We are underway. Walker back in the lineup. Controls the opening tip. Smith, here's Torreno. Rebounded quickly from the knee operation. Spins inside, misses the shot. Tipped in the air, and Corey Jackson, one of two seniors, bidding farewell to BC tonight with the rebound. Here is Curley. Been playing very well of late. Marshall jumps out on Abram. This is Isley against Smith.
Both teams opening up, John, man-to-man. Connecticut to extend to try to discourage the three-point shot.
Isley working in the corner, tries to go baseline. Sellers had it, but he's out of bounds.
That shouldn't be a fresh 45, and Jim Calhoun with a good, quick first step out of that coaching seat.
Exactly right. Sixth season, 116 wins. Last 2 years, he's been in the NCAA tournament. And, of course, NIT champions in 1988. He's 10-3 against Boston College.
Of course, he's back to his roots tonight. Of course, his great coaching career at Northeastern University, where he coached Reggie Lewis. And I remember him back in high school, John, where he coached a high school not far from here in Dedham.
Curley misses the jumper off the glass. This is a three, and it is good. There is Huckabee, who hits the three, and he shoots 42%. Second best in the Big East Conference, and the Eagles break out on top. Walker drives and scores.
Billy Curley is playing Walker soft right now, but needs to take away the penetration.
Ronnie, your keys to the game as BC has the early lead.
Well, it's very important for Connecticut to take away the three. You saw BC get that one already. They've got to deny that and put the pressure on, as they did in the first meeting, and force BC to turn the basketball over.
25 turnovers by Boston College in that overtime loss at UConn. This is Burrell trying to post up Huckabee. Walker gets low. Burrell for three. Kicks high in the air, and Danielle Marshall comes down with a rebound, back up, bending in, and it'll count. The basket is good.
That's the board work we talked about. And look at UConn. They're up on the bench, alive in this one. Marshall, one of the really terrific freshmen in the conference this year, with the long arms and the ability to knife his way inside with good moves to the goal.
The senior from Miami picking up his first foul, and the freshman from Reading, Pennsylvania, Danielle Marshall. Quite a recruiting battle between Villanova and UConn. And Danielle's had an outstanding year, broken the single-season shot block record.
First McDonald's All-American to go to UConn, and this is UConn with the 2-2-1 pressure, bringing it up further, trying to get some traps over midcourt.
We are expecting a sellout here of about 8,600. Curley gets the ball low off the glass and good.
That's one way to beat pressure. Good ball movement down the sideline.
Smith with penetration. And one too many steps. The students here are on their spring break, and there is a large, and I mean large, contingent that made the trip from Connecticut.
Well, it's only about an hour-and-a-half ride, so we should hear some good cheers going both ways in this one.
Abrams three. Jackson to Curley.
Billy Curley was very hot in the first game between these two teams, but excellent interior passing so far by the Eagles.
At 23 in that ball game. Here's Marshall to the baseline, back to Walker. Too strong over Curley, but back up with the left-handed Sellers. He misses, and finally the Eagles come away. They've got the numbers 4 on 3. Isley to the baseline. Huckabee for three. Good.
Well, that's BC's game. Going to that three-point shot. Excellent ball movement. They're out very quickly in this one. Aggressive.
The Eagles on top by 5. That's the biggest lead for either team in the early going. We played 2.5.
Looks like a triangle and 2 defense right now, John, by the Eagles.
Smith misses. Good position by Huckabee.
They're playing Burrell and Smith man-to-man and putting a triangle zone in the middle.
Isley steps out for three, but misses. Burrell had to go up a couple of times, but comes out of there with the rebound.
Abram against Smith and Huckabee against Burrell, and then a triangle zone inside.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does, but it's not a bad move against the very tough Smith and Burrell.
The basket is good. Isley gets his first basket. Boston College on a 9-0 run now.
Here's the defense, and I think they're confusing Connecticut, and when you get the turnover, push the basketball and make the defense pay the price. Nice play that time, going right to the basket.
Burrell in for the jumper and rings the bell. He has been coming on strong of late. It was Burrell who, along with the Huskies, kind of suffered a mid-season slump. 16.5 remaining. Deflected out of bounds, and let's check the keys for Boston College.
Well, as they're doing, quick out of the gate, good chance to win the game.
Right now they have the edge, and we have a foul trying to overplay inside, and picking up number 1 is Rod Sellers, the senior center from Florence, South Carolina. I have to feel that there are a lot of satellite dishes in the Pittsburgh area tuned to this game, and a lot of people rooting for UConn. And we'll explain that as we go along. Why would you want to play on Thursday? Well, if you need a win badly enough, you might.
That's right.
Here's Jackson along the baseline. Abram with penetration. Isley now. Smith on him. He penetrates. Out of bounds. So the turnover gives the ball back to the Huskies of the University of Connecticut, and we have our first timeout of the night. 15:59 remaining to be played in the first half. The Eagles have jumped out to a 5-point lead. Final score, the Eagles are the best percentage-wise shooting team in 3 points in the league, and the guy who scores the most threes is Chris Smith, so both teams like the three-pointer.
And what that does is it opens up some driving lanes. Isley with the good penetration, but you can see that Abram and Huckabee in this case will camp behind the three-point line as Huckabee drains that one.
Huckabee has the 2 in the game. Connecticut and Burrell attempting only 1 thus far. Walker.
BC man-to-man this time, but Curley will really sag when the ball goes to the weak side.
Sellers gets it low, up, bending out. Stripped away underneath out of the hands of Walker and out of bounds as Isley sneaked in there to get a piece of the ball. This is where BC had a problem earlier in the week against Pitt. They just got clobbered inside.
That's right. Connecticut looking to get it in there. Chris Smith, a player that tends to start slowly and finish strong. He hasn't scored yet.
Marshall a miss. Walker a pump fake off the glass and good.
Now that's where Connecticut's doing it. BC cannot allow those second chances in for the Huskies. Keep banging the backboards.
The lead is 3. 15-19 to play. We're in the first half in Chestnut Hill. That's the first step travel. Huckabee shifting that pivot foot a bit and got caught.
John, Tarina Walker really making that quick recovery off of arthroscopic knee surgery. A credit to the UConn medical staff and his toughness to get back out there so quickly, and he's running very well.
What a job they did. He's making his second start since returning from that knee surgery.
They missed him when he was out of there. Inside play.
This is the time to get him back. Danielle Marshall, baseline jumper, good. Marshall has 5. The Huskies within 1, and it's UConn's turn with a run. They've scored the last 6 points. Earlier, a 9-0 Boston College run gave the Eagles a 7-point lead.
Again, the Huskies in the paint, and we'll see a lot of this out of BC. A 4-corner set. They'll hope that Connecticut will pressure enough that the 3-guard lineup is allowed to penetrate. Look for the dish or the 3-pointer.
Curley can't get to it. I thought Sellers had a pretty good arm lock on him.
He might have. Curley had an arm out there, but didn't seem to be able to move his feet on that one.
Well, the body wasn't going anywhere.
A veteran move, perhaps, by Rod. He's quietly had a very nice career at UConn. Over 1,000 points, over 700 rebounds, and they'll need his big play down the stretch as well.
This is the first time that Connecticut has ever had 3,000-point scorers on the same team. Of course, Chris Smith has outdone them all. The only player in school history with 2,000-plus points. And 1 turnover returned by another turnover, so it's BC basketball. The Eagles with 14:10 to play in the half with a 1-point lead. Along with Ronnie Perry, I'm John Sanders. Final regular season game. The fun will begin in New York City on Thursday night. Hope you'll join us. Check your listings because many of those games will be televised in your area.
Interesting matchups out here. A lot of the UConn players with much better height than the BC backcourt. Look for BC to try to penetrate some. Marshall 6'9" against Abram. Big height advantage.
Curley off the glass and he'll go to the line. Get position like that, there's nobody in this league that's going to stop Billy Curley.
How about the ball movement, though, by BC? We're always stressing swinging the basketball. Nice entry pass by Isley along the baseline. Best UConn could have done was slap that ball out of bounds, and it seems to be a good weapon so far.
Sellers picks up his second foul. Donnie Marshall is in. Curley hits the foul shot. He's a good foul shooter, and he leads the scoring for Boston College with 7. 4-point lead as Mark Malinsky checks in. One of two freshmen seeing a lot of playing time for Jim O'Brien. The other is Kevin Grabowski. There's Malinsky.
Very young BC lineup. Curley's legs seem very fresh in this one as he seems to be coming on strong, John, in league play.
Walker with some penetration and a nice shot. So Walker making his presence felt. 6 points. I think there was some concern that the Eagles as a group might be getting tired at this point in the season.
Now they've got to dig deep in this one. They know they've got to get it.
Malinsky can shoot the 3.
I think he's the best pure shooter if he's got the room for BC.
Here comes Smith trying to answer it. Gives it up to Marshall from deep in the corner. Kicks high. Rebound Curley.
Oh, he went and got that one.
Isley with it. Huckabee. Here he comes. Bumps Burrell. Pulls up. Jumper. Rimming out. Tipped up. And finally Daniel Marshall out of there. I think Huckabee's got the kind of moves that are going to make him in the Chris Smith class. I mean, he can score a lot of points.
Very smooth about it, too, with good size.
Smith, who makes more threes per game than anybody else in the league, gets number 1. Jackson will go to the line. The foul is on Daniel Marshall. What do you think about the decision? Huckabee's had the hot hand, turned down the 3 for the pass inside.
If Jackson's able to get an uncontested layup, great move. But under the circumstances, Jackson struggles from the foul line. Let it fly from three-point land when you're open like that, Malcolm.
Well, that is the shot as Dan Cerulik checks into the lineup. Dan, a senior from Williamsville, New York. Jackson is yet to score, and Corey is not a big scorer. He averages about 5 points a game.
John, that's one of the things that has made BC very much a surprise team this year. They play with a 3-guard lineup. They start 4 sophomores, and they've kind of lived and died with that 3-point shot.
The freshman, Brian Fair, who started much of the time while Walker was out of the lineup, is in for the first time. And Corey Jackson, who shoots only 50%, nails both. Here comes Smith the other way. It's a 4-point lead for Boston College.
Like I said, John, a good strategy to get the ball down low to him.
Again, penetration and a basket scored by Walker. He's on fire.
Somebody from BC, though, has got to step in and take the denial away.
Fair almost had the steal, now makes the foul. Brian Fair had the steal, then he picks up the foul. You know, you look at the Eagles and you look to their future, they're losing some people with size in Jackson and also Willie Foley. They'll be replaced by Robert Blackwell, 6'10" from New York City, and Paul Grant, a 6'9" youngster coming in from Michigan. Walker sits down and he'll get a nice hand from the UConn fans. He played well.
Talk to the BC people. There's a lot of enthusiasm about those two young men. Great inside players.
Malinsky inside the 3-point line. Jackson tracks it down. Abram off the foot of Burrell, a fresh 45 on the clock. Well, you look at UConn, they're doing the same thing. They're going to have to replace some size on their team, and they're doing that with a young man who's 6'10" by the name of Travis Knight. Eric Hayward, 6'7", 240 pounds from Alexandria, Louisiana.
Yeah, no question, Jim Calhoun filling that void inside, and UConn certainly has been on a roll given their success in recent years in the tournament.
Curley to Malinsky. Mark backs it out.
John, you noticed on the last shot by BC, the long rebound. When you take the 3-point shot, UConn has to be aware of that deep rebound with that long shot.
20 seconds on the shot clock. Isley Molinsky down to the baseline he goes. No place there. He's cut off. Swings it back. 3 from straight away. Molinsky the rebound. He'll go up with it and have it blocked by Marshall. Now Molinsky again. This time Cerulik with a block. And the Eagles will reset.
Not a bad idea. Get that ball out of there. Good recovery by UConn.
A couple of blocks. Molinsky in the wrong place at the wrong time. Had it rejected by Marshall and then Cerulik. Smith for the steal. Jackson to Curley. He's fouled from behind by Burrell.
That's a fine pass, though, by Corey Jackson, and good poise by BC that time to get something good out of it after those UConn rejections. They've got some pretty good movement inside tonight, does BC, and they're able to find Curley, who's being doubled up, but getting the ball in good positions to score. UConn has got to find a way to deny Curley the basketball.
Billy will go to the line. 2 shots for Curley. He's made his only attempt tonight. Willie Foley is into the lineup. Curley's fellow co-captain, and also Nantambu Willingham coming into the ballgame early tonight for Jim Calhoun.
Call him Boo. Getting some minutes early in this game.
Curley a miss of a pair.
It's like a 1-3-1 zone by BC this time with Foley and Curley. A little bit bigger lineup. Where Smith tends to operate. He can split between people and penetrate.
Smith to Kevin Ollie, who's in the lineup.
There's a nice penetration.
And finding Danielle Marshall.
That's what you want. Split the wing and the point, as Ollie did to perfection on that one.
We are tied at 20, nearing the midway point of the first half. The Eagles have led most of the way, jumping out to a quick 7-point advantage. That's gone, and it's 20-20 against Willingham.
He's really working on Curley defensively. And I think Jim Calhoun just wanted to get another fresh body on Curley, try to wear him down.
Willingham doing the best that he can. Isley with the move, and fouls on Ollie. Kevin Ollie, a freshman from Los Angeles, picks up number 1. You know, I mentioned UConn bringing in a couple of big guys. Keep in mind they have Jeff Calhoun, the coach's son, and Rudy Johnson, both on the injured list. They will be back next year as well. We'll be back after a word from your local station. To tie the game at 20-20, and our copyrighted telecast is produced by us. 10-13 to play in the half. Along with Ron Perry, I'm John Sanders. Only one 2-point field goal for Boston College in the last 6:45. Along the baseline, Huckabee has a knocked away by Smith.
Doesn't look like Huckabee came to that one, waiting for it to come to him.
Here's Burrell. Along the baseline, Ollie back out to Marshall. Too strong. The foul over the back on Nantambu Willingham, and we're in the bonus already.
I think we are. I think that's number 7 on the Huskies. We should be going to the line.
We will make the walk to the other end. It is number 7. Only one foul. Is that correct? That's right. The only foul against the Eagles was Corey Jackson. There it is. That could be a big advantage for the Eagles in this half.
Absolutely. BC has been more conscious to go inside with the basketball, though Connecticut, when they've gone down there, has just flat out scored.
Molinsky's been a good foul shooter in his freshman season. A good-looking young player from Dayton, Ohio. You see he shoots it at 82% in the Big East from the line. If you're a freshman and you come into this league and shoot it at 81%, as Robowski, another freshman, checks in for Foley, that bodes well for the future.
Absolutely. Molinsky's got great mechanics from the line. He's got good concentration, good rotation and follow through. Played for an excellent high school, Alter High School, where the Paxson brothers both played. So good competitive league.
The Eagles by 2. The hand check called on the way in.
Fouls on Abram.
That will be the first of the night on Gerard Abram. You know, it's difficult to guard Chris Smith without hand checking him. How do you stop him?
Well, he gets so low to the ground with that dribble, and he's so explosive. Tough guy to defend. You almost have to play off him a bit, but then he can stick the 3, so your guess is as good as mine.
Second basket for Burrell. He caught it, went down, came right back up, and popped it in. 22-22, we're tied again.
UConn really needs Burrell's offense in addition to Smith's. He came up big in the last game against Syracuse with 25. A big win, by the way, for UConn after losing 7 of 8. And they feel they really need this one to continue on a positive roll. BC, on the other hand, feels for NCAA hopes they've got to win this in a couple of games in the Big East tournament to get up to 18 wins.
Otherwise, they're probably looking at a second trip to the NIT under Coach Jim O'Brien.
I would say so. They've had some very good wins thus far.
Huckabee gets the baseline, reverses and scores.
That's what Huckabee can do, and that's what the three-point shot brings you as you penetrate to the goal. Good move by Huckabee, 6-3.
Smith's three, right back at him. Cut off by Gerard Abram. He'll go around Smith, take it in, lay it up and score.
Oh, he's so quick to the goal. Perhaps the best penetrator, one-on-one kind of guy for the Eagles. You know, one thing with Abram, if it's a close game, he'll be going to him down the stretch, huh?
I would. We've got a 5-second call on Ollie, who simply lost track of the time. Malinsky was with him all the way. Not much reaction from Coach Jim Calhoun, who's seen his team go from a 16-1 start to their current record of 18-8.
One of the things with this year's version of UConn, not as many steals, the opponents with more steals than UConn, and what we've seen the last few years is UConn with many more steals than their opponents, although they still are holding opponents down around that 40% mark in terms of shooting, which is very good.
This is Robowski outside. Down the lane he comes, left hand, rims off. Willingham the rebound. There's a pretty good crowd there to meet Kevin Ollie. Malinsky and Curley at the same time, and let's see who gets the call.
Ollie very quick, likes the up-tempo game, and as we've seen on a couple of occasions, can really get it in there with the penetration. A Crenshaw High School product in Los Angeles. Remember another fine player in the Big East that played at Syracuse that played there, Stevie Thompson.
Absolutely. Donnie Marshall into the lineup. The other Marshall of the freshman class. Ollie to the line. 65% foul shooter. And to cut the lead by BC to 2. Bending in.
It's a nice touch from the line. You shoot it with the rotation, you can get the good roll from in front of the basket, as we saw on that one.
Ollie out, Brian Fair back in. It's BC 26, UConn 24 as we approach the 8-minute mark of this first half. Isley tried to feed it low. It was batted up against the bottom of the backboard and out of bounds, and that means that the Eagles will have it when we come back with 7:53 to go. Boston College 26, UConn 24. To this half right now by 2, and here's why I think Huckabee could be a big scorer and a big offensive player in the Big East.
Well, he's really taken his game up a couple of levels this year. He can nail the three. He's got good penetration, size, quickness. So you've got to love the way he's playing for Jim O'Brien, and this guy is just quick as a cat. Gerard Abrams saw the opening, took it right in there. Ollie never got over in front of him to try to take the charge on that one. By the time he did realize it, Abram had a couple of points.
The Eagles have it under their own basket. It comes out to Jackson. One of 2 seniors, along with Willie Foley, honored before the ball game. Senior night. We've seen several of those in the last week or so. Here's Malinsky, a freshman.
This is the kind of game tonight where you win it with defense. Both teams looking pretty good offensively so far, but it's going to be defense and rebounding to pull this thing out.
Third three-pointer of the first half for Huckabee. He leads all scorers with 11. Marshall underneath, comes back to Fair for 3, a little strong. Rebound Sellers up off the glass and in.
UConn continues to do its damage with those second and third attempts that they can finish on.
Curley. Short jumper rattles home. 9 for Curley, and that's the first time they've been able to get him the ball in a while.
Normally a difficult entry pass from the top, and look for Smith to start getting more involved for UConn. He's only taken a couple of shots in this first half.
Smith being covered by Huckabee. That's a great matchup. The foul will be on Malinsky. Not a very good pass. If he'd reacted a little quicker, he wouldn't have had to use his body to pick up the foul.
Malinsky was okay with the hand that he got the ball with, but the other hand, I believe, was where he committed the foul.
Kind of a lazy pass as Marshall will go out of the UConn lineup.
Watch his left hand on this one. He's okay with the denial. A little bit with the left, and I think that's where he picks it up. He had it on Donnie Marshall's side and back.
This is Smith, only 3 points, just the one three-pointer in the game. Fair against Isley.
BC trying to deny Smith when he doesn't have the basketball.
Sellers. Get out of there. This is Fair. 6:30 to play in the first half. Foul is on Curley as Sellers is going to try to dunk it.
That looks like the triangle defense again to me, where Curley's just hanging out in the middle, trying to help out down there. And just here doesn't want to give Sellers an easy two. So from that standpoint, not a bad time to give up a foul.
2 shots.
Sellers will have 2 shots. He has only 2 points here in the first half. Rod averaging 12.5 a game and over 9 rebounds a game.
Connecticut needing this game after having lost the 7 of 8 after just such a phenomenal start and coming on strong with the Syracuse win to really get over the hump. I mean, I think, no question in my mind, they're already NCAA bound, but what they need is the positive momentum right now so that they're playing good basketball heading into the Big East tournament.
Well, how about Seton Hall, winners of 9 of 10 to climb back in and get a share of the regular season championship. Certainly they've got that March momentum. Here's Curley, short jumper, bends off, tip off, won't go by Jackson. Almost a great move.
That would have been a phenomenal tip there if he was able to get it to go.
Ollie in the lineup, in the corner to Walker. Back to Kevin Ollie. Now Fair. Sellers. He was fouled. Huckabee coming in from behind trying to help out, and Malcolm picks up the foul call. That's his first, and that is the 6th team foul. The Buick scoreboard for you from Providence, Miami and Providence, and the Friars have a 7-point lead. 7 minutes, a little over 7 minutes to play. The last 5 fouls have been called on Boston College, so they're now at 6. Remember when they were at 1?
Yeah, not that long ago. John, how about the effort by Miami over the weekend against Seton Hall, taking the Pirates to overtime? Great effort for Leonard Hamilton's club.
Tremendous game. The game that Miami almost won. They defeated one of the teams tied for the conference championship and took one of the others to overtime.
That big win, of course, earlier in the year, a low-scoring affair against St. John's.
5.5 to go. 31-27. The Eagles have led by as many as 7. Isley pulls up for the jumper and nails it.
Very under control move by Isley, and when he's playing a good floor game, it seems that BC is very much on track.
Thrown away by Ollie, and the Huskies want an up-tempo game. They want to get it going back and forth, but so far it hasn't worked to Jim Calhoun's advantage.
That was good pressure by Isley, but all he's got to keep it alive, get himself closer down to the wing, and get it into Sellers in the blocks, not expect his big guy to come out 12 to 15 feet for the ball.
Isley will walk it up, get a screen from Jackson. This is Huckabee.
Connecticut needs to stop right here and get on and run with the basketball. There it is.
Tried to make that short pass inside, and that's tough. Here's Burrell to the left hand. A blocking foul, and Burrell will go to the line.
Very difficult to get in front of a fast-moving Scott Burrell down the court. But Connecticut does come up with a good defense this time, and good defense often turns into good offense. Curley clearly sliding under there as Burrell had already left his feet. That's an excellent call, and not only does Curley get the foul, but pays the price as well, hitting the deck pretty hard.
He'll check out with 2 fouls. Smith is back on for UConn. Also, Donyell Marshall returns to the lineup as Walker goes to the bench. Willie Foley has replaced Curley in the lineup, and Burrell to the line. This has not been a good spot for him this year, and it really started in the very first Big East game of the year when he, I think, went like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7 against Miami. He kind of struggled at the line all year long.
He's got a good stroke, too. I think sometimes from the line it can become a mental thing, and there he just doesn't get the roll.
Tipped back. Chris Smith will pick it up. 33-28, Eagles by 5. Jim O'Brien will argue the call, but
traveling.
A traveling violation, so maybe he argued too quick.
I think Bobby Donato might have had a reach on Corey Jackson, but good communication with the officials, and the call on that one, which was the right one, was the walk on Marshall. Picked the foot up as he made his move.
That was the call before the reach-in. Jim Calhoun didn't like that one. Coley missed a lot of playing time with that injury to his left hand, but he's back now. 4:20 left in the half.
Coley's been a hard-working kid here at BC, and good for him on senior night to get to play and get some quality minutes in this one.
Huckabee takes it in, and Marshall gets it out.
Danielle with the great timing, the long arms. You know, I think blocking shots is very much an instinctive team. Of course, an instinctive thing if you've got the tools, and he certainly does, and doesn't foul that much when he does it.
71 blocks overall in the season. Marshall, one of the leaders. He's third in the Big East in blocked shots. Jim O'Brien wants just a word with Bob Donato. Just a word, that's all.
Still working that last one, making the point.
Eagles ball under their own basket, leading by 5. Huckabee, a little short with that jumper, and crashing for the rebound, picking up the foul is Corey Jackson. Well, Corey will pick up his second. Exactly 4 minutes left in the half. It's the 8th team foul on Boston College. At one time, it was 7-1 team fouls. UConn to 1 for BC. Now it's 8-7 Eagles as Curley returns.
Rod Sellers at the line for Connecticut, shooting 1-1.
Both teams 5 out of 7 at the line. Rod Sellers, you see his numbers in Big East. He had 16 points first time these teams met. Smith and Burrell led UConn in that overtime game. And UConn has won the last 8 meetings between these teams, if you include an NIT meeting between these two. So it's 7 in a row in the Big East and 8 in a row overall.
Back when Dana Barros was netting them to BC, and of course Jim Calhoun decided to put Lyman DePriest on him and clamped on Dana in the second half of that contest.
Sellers bending the second one home. 5 for him. Exactly 4 minutes remaining in the half. The Eagles have been up by as many as 7. Right now, BC's lead is 3. Even though the students are on break, this place is sold out.
It's been sold out for a while. People anticipating this New England matchup. So far, it's been a good one.
Again, Burrell, second time. He's gotten a foot on the ball. Connecticut has scored only 1 field goal in the last 6 minutes, so they're just kind of hanging around right now, not really doing much.
Again, I have to believe that Chris Smith will start to heat up, look for his offense more for UConn.
Jackson takes it to the baseline. Now goes down the lane. Finds Curley. It's off his arm, out of bounds.
At that point, Jackson gets himself almost under the basket. He's got to power that shot up.
That's the second time that the Eagles have turned it over with a real short pass inside.
Yeah, you're too close to each other in traffic like that. Very difficult to make it work.
Smith against Abram. Ryan Fair.
He was looking for it that time, John.
Travel.
Traveling violation.
You know, you look ahead not only to the Big East tournament, but to the NCAA tournament that will follow. And one of the reasons that Big East teams have success, and we've talked about this before, Ronnie, is the defense. There are no easy shots in this league.
No, there really aren't. That's why we see a lot of games where teams shoot in the low 40s, if not in the high 30s, because of that tight man-to-man defense, which we're seeing here tonight. The only way to beat that is to penetrate and look for the open man.
There's a 3. That's one way to handle it. Abram gets his first 3. He shoots 38%, and he has 5 points in the game. 36-30.
Well, Connecticut had to take that 3 away, but it seems to be on for the Eagles tonight. Good look.
The foul is on Jackson as Marshall going strong to the basket. And Corey Jackson, the first player in the game, with 3 personal fouls. One that ticked inside 3 minutes left in the half. Walker will return. Grabowski returns, replacing Jackson, and Walker checks back into the lineup for UConn, and Sellers is out. How valuable it is for Jim Calhoun's rotation to have Walker back and play.
Big time, because he has a lot more options to go to with bigger lineups, and also to rotate 3 backcourt people out there. Take Rod Sellers out and put Torino in there, and Torino will bang just as Sellers did.
Marshall hits the first of the foul shots. He has 8 points in the game. Good foul shooter at 83%. How about that one guard offense that P.J. Carlissimo was using some this afternoon?
Very interesting, and that one guard, not De Gea at that particular time.
A pair at the line for Daniel. He has 9 in the game. The Eagles lead by 4 as they bring it up. We're at Conti Forum, Chestnut Hill, on the campus of Boston College. Great facility. Comparable to the one at Storrs, which is also a great building. Huckabee, he's got the 3. Rebound Walker. Reach-in foul is called on Gerard Abram. I don't think Huckabee was really in a shooting mode mentally that time. He was wide open for the shot, just didn't really prepare himself.
Yeah, it's like an afterthought. As a result, he faded when he did let the shot go. Isley on the ground, almost setting up a screen there. And then Huckabee realizing how open he was, but he fades back as he lets the ball go. Doesn't have the good follow-through that time.
The last 9 fouls have been called on Boston College, and they're now at 10. That means Walker, who got off to the quick start with 8 early points, will shoot 2, and that one bends out.
Torino, a guy who has struggled typically from the line.
Only 55% this year. You see a pretty good start for Torino Walker. His career high is 14 points.
Mostly with penetrations, too, which is a very encouraging sign off that knee surgery. He's really getting it done, looking mobile in this one.
To see him be so aggressive. Show the confidence to go inside and take the ball to the basket.
Well, I noticed that in his first game back against Seton Hall. He really was playing aggressively in that one, had a couple of good exchanges at both ends of the floor at the Meadowlands.
The foul will be on Burrell. Scott, the all-time steal leader for the Huskies, thought he had another.
So did Jim Calhoun and the rest of his staff. Some body contact, but great anticipation, which is, I think, what Jim saw. He was in there with his hands on the ball.
Well, the only one that has a vote in these matters wears a striped shirt. Jody Sylvester made the call, and Bob Donato. Even if you don't make the call, if you're the official closest to the coach, you wind up in the conversation, right?
That's right, and once that call's made, almost always it stands. Even if you do make your point. You just hope the next time it might go your way.
Curley bangs the second one in. He's made 3 out of 5 at the line. The sophomore from Duxbury has 11. The lead is 5. Boston College has led most of the way. UConn has had 2 separate 2-point leads.
This is where Chris Smith, the offense out of sync's got to go get it. He and Burrell got to take charge here.
Burrell, a major league 3-pointer.
As he got some range, he's shooting that thing going away from the goal.
That was well beyond pro range, 38-36. And just like that, it's a 2-point ball game. But again, the offense spread for Boston College right now.
But you'll notice the Connecticut defense, as you see the weak side, which is away from the ball, sagging, so to not allow them in with the ball, an easy penetrating lane.
Isley works off the screen, looks to Curley, off-balance shot, no good. Grabowski the rebound. Huckabee had a 3, didn't take it. Goes instead to Curley, works his way around, misses the shot, rebound Walker.
Again, Curley floating away from the goal that time, not powering it in, trying to draw the foul.
Burrell 3 again.
Burrell getting the Huskies right back into this thing with some great range when they need a lift.
The Huskies have the lead, 39-38. Back-to-back 3-pointers by Burrell wipe out a 5-point BC lead.
As you mentioned, some Connecticut fans here at the Conti Forum.
A lot of them. On the way in, the foul was called on UConn. Ollie wanted the reach-around call, but he will pick up the foul. Number 2 on the freshman from Los Angeles. 43.7 remaining. in the first half.
This game just has that feel to it, John, even though we've got a full half to play with 43 seconds to go on this one. Two teams that are very evenly matched on this night.
Abram has 5 points, but he also has 5 rebounds.
Now he's just quick to the basketball. Connecticut, although they'd like to be ahead in this game, certainly on the road, is hanging right in there. And of course, Smith, with just 3 first half points, tends to come up big in the second half, particularly when the game's on the line.
Well, one thing about it, you pick your half, first or second, he will make his presence known.
That's right. And when he gets it going, watch out. Just got to get the ball, though, more in positions to score and assert himself more with the penetration.
And the Eagles tend to do better when they spread the wealth. The more players they have near the double-figure mark, the better off they do.
That's right. And Connecticut will rely on Burrell and Smith to have good numbers. Shot clock off. Connecticut here would like to work some time off it, try to get some penetration, preferably with this guy, Chris Smith, with under 10 seconds to go. Be careful of that 5-second call if the defense is uptight enough, which
they are not at this point. You can watch the official. Now the count is on. When he spreads his hands, you're not close enough.
That's right.
Then he will start the count. Chris Smith checks the bench with 15 seconds to play.
Jim Calhoun calling the play. The full hand goes up. The 5 play. Let's see if that's Smith's number.
Knocked away. Now 5 seconds. Burrell's 3. Oh my gosh!
That's from about 38 feet.
Unbelievable. The buzzer, it will not go. Scott Burrell with 3 3-pointers at the end of the half. The Huskies go to the locker room leading by 2. They trailed almost the entire first 20 minutes. He hit 3 of the longest shots I've seen the entire year.
Well, how about that last one, John? That baby was way out there by the hash mark.
42-40 at halftime. We'll talk more about the Big East tournament when we come back after this word from your local station. Boston College plays Providence College, and either Pitt or UConn will play Miami.
And BC playing Providence, a team they've already split with this year. They've also split with Seton Hall, so they feel if they can get this game tonight, win those two, they should be in good shape for the NCAA tournament. As mentioned, Connecticut already in good shape for the NCAA tournament, but wanting to get good positive momentum with their play heading into the Big East tournament, and then for the big dance in the NCAA.
And the truth of the matter is, I don't think they have a big interest in playing on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Go right to Friday.
Why play Thursday night and wear yourself down with another game? Get right into it on Friday.
Inside, outside. Abram for 3. It's short. Burrell the rebound. He's got to be pumped after the way he finished the first half.
He didn't want the half to come. He said, let's keep playing.
That's right.
He was going to move out to half court for his next jumper.
Well, he's in his range right there.
Sometimes you get good offense when it's so spontaneous with the clock ticking down for that shot.
Smith to Burrell. That's a 3, and he's made 4 in a row. Burrell is really lighting it up. 17 points now.
Quick release going away from the basket. He's just got great range and a fluid release.
That is the biggest lead that the Huskies have had tonight, as they're up by 5, and it's all off the shooting of Scott Burrell.
BC needs to keep its poise, answer, bang the backboards.
Jackson decked by Smith. The foul is the first on Chris. I tell you what, if you're Smith and Burrell is shooting the way he's shooting, why not give him the basketball?
And then the defense will tighten up on Burrell, and if anything, that should open up lanes for Chris Smith and the rest of the Husky squad. Oh, look at that up
gets
fake.
Burrell in the air, finds Curley, and the foul is on Terreno Walker. So Curley will go to the line where he was 3 out of 5 in the first half, on his way to an 11-point half. But the Eagles have really got to tighten up right here, Ronnie. They can't let it get away from them in terms of points.
That's right. The beginning of the second half critical to set the stage with momentum in the second half. Connecticut clearly has captured the flow of this game right now, which they took into the locker room on the shoulders of Burrell.
I was going to say, Burrell has captured the flow of the game. He's made the last 12 points.
Saying to his teammates, come on for the ride. I've got it going right now. And that's what you look for with some of your key players. And clearly, Burrell and Smith right up there for Connecticut. Give your team a lift when it needs it.
Walker bumping with Jackson. He travels. One too many.
I think he wanted to give it to Burrell. Huckabee took it away. The lane closed up.
The Eagles come back. 18:40 left in the game now. Isley to Abram. Curley pops out. Smith on Isley. Huckabee deep in the corner.
Connecticut seems to be turning it up now. Maybe the excitement of Burrell's threes. They're playing the defense better in BC's face right now. Tough matchup. See that? That's tough for Abram now to get his shot off against the much taller Marshall. Look for the penetration though.
Sets Huckabee up for the three. He hits it. Huckabee hits the three. That's 4 3-pointers for Malcolm. He's got 14.
We've seen that a couple of times the way BC penetrates and they find each other behind the three-point line.
Marshall. They go inside and a reach-in foul is called. Was it Curley from behind or Isley in front?
I think it was Curley.
It was Curley. So Billy now has 3.
That's not a good foul by Curley. He's got position behind Sellers that time. You know, why go for the reach there in that position?
Smith won't go. Curley the rebound. Kicks it out to Isley. Back come the Eagles. Isley almost let his dribble get away. Look at Curley hustle down the court.
That's what you call just getting your balance and making something positive out of it by Isley.
And Curley staying with it after getting the rebound as the trailer to finish it off. He has 15 points now.
UConn wants to try to find Marshall in low if they can.
That's a travel. In that case, I think Sellers was so concerned about keeping his defender off of him, he carried the ball.
Couple of unforced errors by Walker and Sellers now. Good rebound. Sellers had great position. Kind of a fortunate bounce for Bill Curley. He'll take it. And then Isley losing control. The finish of that play, though, was Curley hustling down for the goal.
Isley to tie. It's short. Donyell Marshall the rebound. The Eagles are leading by 2. Sellers along the baseline. Brings it back to Donyell Marshall.
Oh, nice recovery.
Marshall's jumper good, and we are tied.
Thought it was a good strip by Isley, but Marshall with the long arms, quick hands, stays with it.
47-47. UConn jumped out by 5, but the Eagles quickly bounced back to lead by 2, and we're tied at 47. Huckabee's 3. Boy, he's on fire tonight. That's 17. He has 5 3-pointers. Burrell has 4 3-pointers, and they are matched with 17 apiece.
Huckabee wanting to do what he did tonight here at Conti against the Hoyas of Georgetown, where he went for 34 in the double OT win for BC. Perhaps the best victory they've had at BC in quite a while. Exciting game.
Isley will pick up the foul. First meeting between these two teams, Malcolm Huckabee had 13. That seemed to be the magic number because Isley and Abram also had 13. Curley led the scoring with 22, and Chris Smith goes to the bench.
Of course, Connecticut was in the midst of their incredible roll then. BC emerging, having a chance to win that. Abram with a chance for his 4th game-ending basket if he could have gotten it to go, which I don't know if anyone who's ever gotten 3, which he did. Incredible.
Sellers to Walker. 3, Burrell. Why not? That's 20 for Scott Burrell. And he has 5 straight 3-pointers. The game is tied at 50.
Huckabee and Burrell, they just can't stop each other in this one.
This is a clinic so far. 50-50. Curley looks for help. Can't find it. Now Isley is bumped and fouled by Sellers. Kevin Ollie looking at the official. He was picked off that time by Curley on the way in.
It's all right if Curley wasn't moving, but he did get seemingly nailed. Let's see if Curley gets in there just in time and sets, but Ollie did pay the price.
50-50 with 15:34 to play. Into a 3-point shooting contest is tied at 50.
And it's interesting, Burrell and Huckabee, the key guys for their respective team. Huckabee here with what, his 5th 3 of the game, being guarded by Burrell, and Huckabee's got to get up tighter on Burrell because Burrell continues his onslaught. He's got 5 to match Huckabee's. Great shooting.
Burrell with 20 points, Huckabee with 17, and you see the 3-pointers between the two teams, both right at near 50%. BC has made 7 of 13, and UConn 6 of 11 in the game.
When BC shoots that well from three-point land, they're in it, particularly when they hold their own on the boards.
And they are doing that, leading by 1 right now.
Until you dribble, though, you get a 5-second call. 2 very close plays now by BC, killing that dribble.
We played almost 5 minutes of the second half.
Little adjustment on defense by Jim Calhoun. Danielle Marshall now playing Huckabee.
This is Abram for 3 from deep in the corner. He spins it up short. Rebound, Danielle Marshall. This is a 2.
Oh, he wants it. He tried to step out behind the three-point line. I think he left his big toe, though, on the line.
He has made 6 shots in a row. 5 of them threes. That was a 2 because he didn't have time to get back far enough. It's a 2-point lead for the Huskies.
Got to have great strength to be able to back up the way he does, keep your balance, and still have the range to nail those shots.
For the game, he's 8 for 9 and has made 5 out of 6 threes. Curley's jumper. Rebound high, brought down by Walker to Ollie.
Connecticut starting to control that defensive board, which allows you to get out and push it.
Marshall scoops it up and misses the shot. Sellers to follow, and he'll go to the line.
Well, BC's concern in the game would be Connecticut on the backboards, and right now Connecticut starting to take advantage off the glass.
That is number 4. We remind you that at the conclusion of this game and during every game televised for the Big East Conference Television Network, we will be selecting the Infinity Player of the Game, and our selection of the Infinity Player of the Game is part of Infinity's sponsorship. 5 points coming at the line. It's been kind of quiet tonight. High and it settles in the net.
That's what you call the nice roll when you can get that one. You just tell your buddy, shooter's touch.
Huskies trying to stretch their lead to 4.
Two free throws for Sellers.
5 in a row at the line for Rod Sellers. He has 7 points, 54-50. 6 minutes into the second half.
Curley's really got to play now for BC. He's key inside for them without committing number 5. If he does, obviously Jim O'Brien's going to have to sit him for a while. Ooh, dangerous.
Huckabee pulls up for the jumper. A little strong. Walker had it. It kicks to Burrell.
That's a good time to use glass if you can step in and just bank that one home.
Burrell has really put on an offensive show for UConn. He scored 17 of the team's last 21 points. He comes up empty there. He had made 6 in a row until he missed that one.
That was a quick release that time, but he can feel it, so he wants the ball. Chris Smith on the bench right now, just can't seem to get his game on track, and Burrell the go-to guy right now.
Burrell with penetration, Curley the block. Isley picks it up. The numbers favor the Eagles. And it's Isley all the way in. He'll go to the line. Number 3 on Scott Burrell. Isley went one way, reversed, and with his speed could get around to the other side.
Well, he knifes his way in. There's a point guard, a penetrator. And this is what you like to do. If there was any way he could have gotten it over to Jackson, he would have. But at that point, what you want to do is get something positive out of it. Get the basket, a 3-point play, or at least draw a foul.
He'll have 2 shots. Howard, an excellent foul shooter. 78% in Big East play. I think that's the barometer that you use at this point in the season, because we have played so many Big East games. What did you do in the Big East?
Well, those are the stats that matter. The games in December before that are interesting in early January, but right now, what have you been doing in league play?
2 misses there. Walker, a powerful rebound. Huskies lead by 4.
Not enough legs on those shots by Isley.
Sellers to Walker. Here he comes. And that is foul number 5 on Billy Curley.
That's a big one. That is a big one because 13:01 to go. Jimmy O'Brien will have to sit Bill probably for about 5 minutes now.
David Hinton will report for the first time tonight, and Curley knows that he's going to the bench, and he just did not get there in time.
Walker put on a head of steam, and Curley needed to get there. You can see the slide under, and he's still got the body turn, so it's a good call on the block. He's about a quarter of a step off on that one, trying to set up position. You just can't slide underneath a guy after he's left his feet to go to the goal. It's a tough call for the officials. They also look for you to have good squaring position in front of that player going in, and he had a half turn on that one.
Walker, the third Husky in double figures tonight, and Chris Smith is not on that list. Walker makes 2. The lead is 6. That is the biggest lead of the game for Connecticut.
Critical juncture now for BC with Curley on the bench. Let's watch what they do on the boards, and the backcourt really needs to take over now for BC.
The Huskies are on a 9-0 run. Molinsky to Huckabee. The foul is on Ollie. He was trying to cut off Isley. So Kevin Ollie picks up his third foul.
Number 12, Kevin Ollie.
That'll be the 6th team foul, I believe, on Connecticut here in the second half.
Hinton and Foley really need to give BC a job on the boards right now. And for Connecticut, I look for them, of course, Burrell to go to him, but to try to pump it inside on offense.
Isley to Foley to Huckabee. Molinsky, Foley, Isley, Hinton, who's not touched the ball yet. Oh, what a pick Foley set on Burrell. He flattened him. The foul is going to be on Sellers.
UConn foul.
That will be number 4 on Rod Sellers. So he's in a little foul trouble. That is the 6th foul on the Huskies. That was a 1 foul premature as Marshall will replace Sellers.
Jim Calhoun, as you had mentioned earlier, with Torino Walker around with more answers inside. He comes in with Donyell Marshall, good size at 6'8".
Huckabee another 3.
And that's a big one because BC right now needs to hold its own with Curley on the bench, and the disadvantage they've got inside right now. Let's see if Connecticut can start to pound it down low.
Cuts the lead to 3, and Huckabee with a 20-point ball game and 6 3-pointers.
Great effort.
Marshall from deep in the corner. Foley saves it to Isley. Molinsky. Isley. Back to Foley. Huckabee's got another 3 underway to tie, and that one's a little bit long. Marshall the rebound. Here comes Kevin Ollie. He'll push it ahead, take it down the lane, and go to the line.
Oh, he's quick, exciting, and loves the open floor. Key to the fast break is the defensive rebound and a good outlet, and then a quick guard like this can do the rest. No one for BC able to stop the penetrating Ollie.
Dan Cerulik will check back in for UConn. So you can see the rotation now. He's got 4 guys that he can rotate deep in there in the forward and center position between Sellers, Walker, Cerulik, and Donyell Marshall.
I also subtly noticed Jim Calhoun getting Cerulik some more minutes. You know, with the tournament coming up, he can provide valuable backup minutes inside off the backboard.
Hinton leaves, and it's a very small lineup now for BC. As Abram takes his spot, he's on with Molinsky, Huckabee, Isley, and Foley. What you're really looking at is a 4-guard offense.
You really are. It's an offense where Molinsky's going to have to play the forward slot, but you really do have 4 backcourt people, so going to pose some interesting matchup problems for BC. Jim O'Brien hoping that this team's quickness can put some pressure on UConn and get into some running out there.
Ollie 1 out of 2 at the line. He's 3 out of 4 in the game, and his only 3 points have come from the line. 11:23 left in this one. UConn leads by 4. Back after this word from your local station. UConn 57, BC 53. A couple of guys have really been lighting it up in this ball game. The play of Burrell, who at one point hit 5 3-pointers in a row, and Huckabee, who has 6 3-pointers in the ball game. 22 and 20.
And the surprising thing is that man, number 13, Chris Smith, hasn't emerged yet in this one. He's got 1 3-pointer in the first half, and if he starts lighting it up for UConn, BC really concerned with Curley on the bench with 5 fouls.
The foul is on Ollie. And again, trying to contain the quickness of Howard Isley. Not easy to do, and Kevin has picked up his 4th foul.
BC's backcourt really trying to bear down right now. And Willie Foley, they're hoping, can anchor some things off the backboard.
Well, he has to with 13 minutes left. Curley went out, so he's been out for a couple of minutes now. And we'll see how well your 5-minute prediction holds up. Ollie out, and Burrell, who's been shooting the lights out tonight, comes back on.
Sometimes the coach, I think 8 minutes is a natural time, but if BC's hanging in, John, maybe, you know, within 2 to 5 points down or even, you might wait another minute or two to buy some time, but not much longer.
Big miss there. Isley's 0 for 3 at the line. Here comes Fair for a jumper. Won't go. Isley has the rebound. The Eagles are in the bonus at the line. They have a foul to give. Abrams 3. Good.
They are delivering from three-point land, and that man, Abram, might as well call him Mr. Clutch for BC.
His second 3 of the night. The lead is 1 for the Huskies away from the ball. Foley gets hooked up with Cerulik and picks up the foul. That's the first on Willie Foley. So a couple of seniors, Dan Cerulik and Willie Foley. Both guys have been in reserve roles their entire careers. They've worked hard and in a very important part of their respective teams.
Absolutely. Guys that show up at practice, work, get some minutes in a backup role, banging away out there.
Fair and Cerulik to the bench. Molinsky to the bench for BC. Sellers and Walker are back on. This is Smith.
One of the big guys maybe to set a screen for him, John, try to free him up, or just a penetration by Smith by himself. He's clearly not feeling it right now.
Burrell feeling it, bending off.
I mean, his athletic ability there, just going up and getting that pass. This ball is basically thrown up in a crowd, and he just goes and gets it. I mean, that's athletic ability there to control it, get it, and then turn it into something positive.
Second foul on Foley. Smith has taken only 4 fouls in the game. And only 1 shot in the second half.
Neither team capitalizing right now from the line. We've had Isley miss a few, and UConn with a chance to capitalize with Curley in foul trouble, but BC hanging right in there behind that three-point shooting.
Only down by a point with 10:35 to play in the game. Much better. 23 for Scott Burrell. That matches the total he had the first time these two teams played. 58-56.
Jim Calhoun has really stayed with the man-to-man in this one. BC's strength in the backcourt, the three-point shooting, but the penetration's been very good. So they've been able to dish it back out for the most part, John, to set up the 3.
And right now, Jim O'Brien elects to shorten the game a little bit.
Yep, take a little bit of time off the clock, buy some time, but remain aggressive so that you don't get, out of sync offensively.
This is a 3. It's short. Walker, the strong rebound. To Marshall on the wing. Jumper in the lane. Bending off. Sellers the rebound. Back up. No good. He'll go to the line.
I think they got Abram from behind.
That's 3 on Gerard.
It's a nice aggressive move, though, by Marshall. He's got all the tools. That time, I think he takes his game the next step when he starts just beating people, taking a good jump shot. And this is where Connecticut should be hurting BC with the offensive rebounds.
Well, Sellers is the one Husky who's been able to take advantage of the foul situation. He's made his last 5 at the line. Trying to stretch the lead to 4. And just inside, 10 minutes left in the game. Well, that takes care of that. Rod, one of the seniors on the team.
A nice blend on this UConn team with experience and youth. Of course, Chris Smith, also a senior, and along with Sellers, they're certainly cornerstones of the team. Cerulik, as you've mentioned, another senior on the squad, and Timmy Peichel on the bench.
They have 5 seniors altogether. 2 of them start. They have a couple of juniors, no sophomores, 6 freshmen. Abram misses the 3. The long rebound to Donyell Marshall. 59-56. Huskies. Smith for 3. No good. It rattled but would not go, and Walker tracks it down. Foul will be on Hinton as he battles Sellers inside.
Nice recovery by UConn. I thought Smith was right on target on that one. That shot was taken in front of us, but Connecticut hurting BC on the boards right now and taking advantage of some of their height and quickness inside.
Sellers back to the line.
Here's Curley. He's got to be thinking right now of how he's going to get himself back into the flow. A lot of times a guy with the foul trouble, you get back out there and you commit a quick one and you're out of it. You've got to get back into the flow, and you've got to be thinking about that before you go out there.
Rod Sellers doing most of his work tonight at the foul line. The Huskies by 4. Boston College is scoring all 3-pointers in the last 8.5 minutes. They've not made a 2-point field goal, and they've also not made a free throw.
They're not getting anything inside, John. So for the most part, they've got to get these perimeter shots to go down, and Connecticut is starting to limit BC to just 1 shot.
5-point lead for UConn. This has been the matchup scoring-wise. Huckabee, Burrell. Hinton feeds Jackson. Jim O'Brien has gone to a little bigger lineup with Jackson and Hinton both on the court. Trying to buy some time, but inside, good feed Hinton.
Good offense by BC. They get a lot of people moving that time, and you tend to turn up a good shot when you do that.
Well, that ends the 2-point field goal drought, 61-58. The Huskies have the lead. Sellers against Hinton, goes to the left hand, bending off. Tipped up, no good. Into the hands of Isley now. He'll start back. On the wing, Huckabee. Finds Jackson.
Oh, nice look again.
And it's Hinton again.
Pretty interior passing that time. And good poise by Huckabee. Didn't like what he had, so BC finally able to work it inside.
They've cut the lead to 1. 61-60 with 8 minutes to go in the game.
And Marshall's trying to post up. BC has had some height problems and height mismatches all game long. And Marshall with got to have at least 6 inches over Isley. He does. 6'2" versus 6'8". Good job trying to get the post up.
He will go to the line. The Eagles have committed 10 fouls, so we will shoot 2 for the last 8:06 for UConn. Marshall, in addition to his 11 points tonight, has 8 rebounds.
Good solid numbers, and he's really done that pretty consistently for the Huskies this year. Logging a lot of minutes, so he's almost into that veteran category already.
I think so. They're beyond the freshman year, aren't they?
Yeah, especially a kid like him who came in having played against such great competition and played in all the tournaments coming out of high school. Not an easy adjustment to Big East play out of high school, though. He's done it well.
5 for 5 at the line. Marshall has 13. Walker has 11. Sellers has 10. And Burrell has 23. 4 of the Huskies in double figures. 3 of the Eagles in double figures. 63-60. UConn has the lead. BC has the ball. Hinton, Huckabee for 3, short. Rebound to Donyell Marshall. That's 9 rebounds now for the freshman. Kevin Ollie running the point right now for UConn. Who's still kind of invisible is Smith. He's on the court, but where? Burrell finds him in the corner for 3. Good.
There he is, and the thing for Chris Smith is he can get it going once he finds the range, scoring bunches.
BC will take the timeout. 66-60. Huskies lead. Back after this word from your local station.
Which
score? 7:16 to play. And where has Chris Smith been? Well, he's here.
There he is. He'll be found here by Burrell, who's really come up big in this one, but you can't keep Smith down forever. He nails this one. Isley right in his face, and as we've seen in the past, we always look down at the end of the game, and he has posted the numbers, although quiet so far in this one.
Curley is back. 7:16 to play, so just about what you expected, Ronnie. He comes back after sitting for over 5 minutes.
He's just got to get himself back into the flow and not commit that quick 5th, 6th foul. Look at the differential from the line. Connecticut
with 11 more chances, and that certainly adds up to a big difference on the board. It is UConn by 6. We're inside 7 minutes to play. Huckabee, who's had a big night.
He's got to look for it more, though, John. The last few minutes, he's so good about taking good shots. He's got to be ready to take it.
That foul has to be on Sellers, I think.
Yep. That's
Rod picks up his 5th. Boston College has made 7 3-pointers in the ball game. Excuse me, UConn has made 7 3-pointers, 5 of them by Burrell. Their high for the year was 11.
Is that in the Providence game? I think it was, where they busted out in the midst of the losing streak to win that one by 25 at home. Bill Curley now has been sitting, so although a good foul shooter, so right around 75%, that first one can be difficult when you've sat a while.
15 points, but interestingly enough, as he misses that, the front end, he has only 2 rebounds in the game. A little hard to believe.
It really is.
Donyell Marshall.
Big possession here, up 6 for UConn.
Smith on a drive will go to the line as he battled against Gerard Abram. Abram has picked up his 4th foul. 2 players on the court right now with 5 fouls. One of them Curley with his 5. And the other Rod Sellers. Second, Sellers has gone to the bench with his 5 fouls.
When you don't dominate people inside, John, and you get yourself down late in the game, it just puts a lot of pressure on your outside shooting. BC has been able to come back in games this year, but it will mean that they'll have to make the 3-point shots, and Connecticut will have to make its foul shots.
Smith now has 7 points in the game, 2 3-pointers. The last time he didn't score in double figures was the Texas game in December, and of course he was rescued that night by Burrell, who had a career night.
2 free throws for Smith.
As he's doing tonight.
Absolutely. 23 for Burrell, 68-60. This is the biggest lead of the game for UConn and a critical stretch of the ball game for BC.
Yeah, they really need one here to reestablish their offense, and of course for Connecticut, they seem to be bearing down defensively.
It's Jackson. That's probably the last person you would expect. But he hits the big basket, his first field goal of the game.
Corey does a lot of little things for BC. He's made some nice passes in this one. And Jimmy O'Brien now, nice adjustment to the 1-3-1 zone. Curley with 5. And Connecticut will be patient. Watch out for Burrell and Smith.
Smith's 3. Got it.
Money time.
Smith, forget that double-figure number. He's got 3 threes and 11 in the game. 71-62. The lead is 9. If the Huskies win, they will play St. John's on Friday. Jackson inside, Curley off the glass and good.
Again, a beautiful assist by Corey Jackson, but BC right now can ill afford to trade baskets. They need to stop UConn. UConn in control of this thing right now.
71-64. The Huskies on top. Ollie. Burrell. That's his range. He didn't take it.
Two-man basketball, and one better 2 to do it for UConn. Smith and Burrell.
Little inside, outside, and then going to Ollie. But a bad pass. Abram picks it up. Isley trailing. Abram to the basket and scores.
That's a big break for BC. The turnover, able to capitalize, and Abram again, very tough. 1-on-1 for the Eagles.
71-66. Burrell had the right idea, just could not connect, and the fans at Conti Forum are getting into the ball game now.
Connecticut has to remain aggressive. Work the clock, but look to the basket. Look to make
Smith
the move.
for 3, short. Isley the rebound. The numbers 3 on 2. Curley is the trailer. Here comes Huckabee. Back to Curley, batted away and intercepted. Here's Smith with Donyell Marshall. Smith. Tipped in actually by Curley. They're going to give it to Marshall, I think.
Yeah, it was his arm up there, but I think you're right. I think Curley knocked it home. Big exchange there for UConn.
Abram misses the 3. Walker a big rebound. 73-66. Smith starting to assert himself, hits a 3.
Now, you know that Smith will be there when the game's on the line. We said it in the first half. Suddenly he's got 14 points, all in a big clump here in the second half.
And another timeout with 3:54 left to play. The Huskies by 10. Chris Smith starting to assert himself in the second half of play, and a 10-point lead now. Watch Chris look for the 3 as Curley runs by him.
Well, he's really asserted himself. The bench loving it. He nails that three-point shot, and he's really emerging here with suddenly the 14-point night going, and it's been in the last several minutes that Smith has really said, hey, I'm going to come alive at the right time.
Now watch this play. Who do you give the basket to?
Donyell Marshall. He does flick it in that direction. Bill Curley right there, too, but give it to Marshall.
And they did. The foul is on Smith. The Huskies leading by 10 with 3:59 remaining in the game. And let's look at some of the three-point shooting. The Huskies are within 2 of their high for the year. BC with 9, UConn with 9. The three-point shooting has been outstanding.
That's right. Teams have shot 46% against BC from three-point land, and UConn bettering that. Opponents against UConn only 36%, so BC also bettering that. But the free throw shooting killing BC right now, particularly Isley struggling.
Really hurting the Eagles, and Isley in frustration grabs Ollie. Howard picks up his 4th foul, and we're in that stretch of the game now where if the Huskies can cash the foul shots, it might get out of hand.
It's on the verge of that right now, John. Very important for BC to keep this thing under 10 points, and they've got to make their run, you know, right around now. There's still a lot of time to go, but too early to start reaching in with the 2-shot fouls where you can really get yourself in trouble.
I think you're right, and they bring in Malinsky to bring in the extra 3-point shooter, so that is the plan for BC if they're going to get back in the ball game. It'll be bombs away at the other end of the court.
Ollie has delivered some solid minutes, and Jim Calhoun's done a nice job to weave in Ollie, Brian Fair into the backcourt this year, so you get to this point and you're comfortable to have them out there in a pressure situation like this.
Well, that might be about the only plus you could think of for the injury and the missed time for Terreno Walker.
That's right. Other guys had to get some of those quality minutes, but they were sort of working them in before that, but more at that point. BC needs one here, and they've got to start going at it without taking too much time off the clock.
Here's a 3. Huckabee rattles out, and Donyell Marshall comes up big with a big rebound. UConn on a 7-0 run in the last minute and a half. They have opened up a 12-point advantage. That's the biggest of the basketball game.
UConn now work the clock, try to get the thing down, and then deliver foul shots and made baskets. Try to put it away.
Smith penetrates, Curley rebound.
Might have gone at it a little quickly, but with Smith, you give him that leeway.
Here's Curley up with the left hand and nails the shot. Curley has 19 points tonight, a 10-point ball game.
And he's gotten himself over that hump, John, where he's got himself into the flow without committing number 6.
We have a timeout with 2:55 to go in the game, and UConn leading by 10. John Sanders, welcome back to Chestnut Hill. We're at Conte Forum, a sold-out Conte Forum, and yes, he's alive and well and has scored 11 points in the second half. Chris Smith, the leading scorer in Big East Conference play, trying to wrap up the conference scoring championship here tonight.
Always seems to put the numbers together when it counts. BC now, of course, needs turnovers. We've got to hope UConn miss some foul shots, too.
Here's Donnie Marshall, and one of the key things that Marshall has done is help build an 11-point rebound advantage. Ronnie, you go back to your keys to the game, and that's one that at halftime the Eagles were okay, but in the second half it slipped away.
That's right. UConn started to do a much better job, particularly on the defensive boards. BC had 9 offensive rebounds first half. This is another area where Smith's so important for UConn, the experience, the ability to work the clock and be an extension of Jim Calhoun. Plus, he can finish off and find Burrell if he doesn't have the opening. Oh, nice
Smith
look.
Inside Ollie. No place to go, and Curley has the block.
Good a look as it was. It was a backcourt man who got it down there, and BC got to start firing up now.
Tried to go inside. Sellers overplays, and I think fouls out.
I've seen that a couple of times where the ball's gone and Curley throws the arm out there and the feet don't go after it. So Sellers has hooked him a few times.
Farad, the senior from Florence, South Carolina, will lead his last regular season Big East game.
Should be Torino coming in for him, I would think, as Jim Calhoun wants a different kind of look out there.
And Jackson checks back in for Boston College, and he does want a different look because he goes to Brian Fair.
Wants the 3-guard lineup against pressure. So that does make some sense. You put Walker out there and you get the better rebounding. Jim Calhoun will work different combinations down the stretch.
2:03 remaining in the game.
Curly at the line.
BC's got to make its foul shots right now and then put the pressure right on. John, as I look up at the board, BC with no timeouts left. Connecticut with 3. So BC has really, got to look over there. The backcourt people get direction from Jim O'Brien. He had to cover a lot of ground in that last timeout. Put the pressure on and get under 2 minutes. You're going to see some reaching in, and Connecticut will have to win this thing from the line.
Curley with 21 points. He had 22 the last time, and as they go to offense, defense switching with Key and Corey Jackson, he'll go to the bench. 78-70.
Got to keep it away from Smith, and they've got to start making their move right now if they're going to make it.
Good ball movement by UConn.
You might reach in on Ollie. You don't want to reach in on Burrell or Chris Smith.
Ollie weaves it back outside. Smith steps through traffic.
Good action by UConn out of the 4 corners.
Down to 1:35 to play in the game. And large numbers of UConn fans applauding this.
BC's got to stop here, and this could be backbreaker time if Chris Smith can deliver.
Smith with a shot. An air ball. Huckabee. But the Eagles are running out of time.
Got to push it now.
Here comes Isley. Malinsky's 3 is good. Malinsky hits the 3. 1:05 to play in the game. And there is the foul. Way back under the basket. Howard Isley's 5th. Jim O'Brien was imploring his team to come out and double team, and nobody would do it there for a while.
He calls not a timeout, but does group his players over there quickly to grab a mini talk. Talk it over, but it's got to be quick reach-ins, and BC never out of these games with their ability to nail the threes. They've got 10 of them in this one.
Scott Burrell with 23 points in the ball game. He's the one that turned it around for Connecticut. He's hitting everything now, huh?
He really is, and he turned it around late in the first half when he made 3 3-pointers in a row. Came out firing in the second half, and during that stretch, Connecticut took control of this game.
And the last one he hit might have been the longest non-desperation basket I've seen all year.
Made it look easy, too. BC got to push and make the threes and put pressure on.
A minute to play. Huckabee, he got the roll.
Beautiful move. I thought he was going to come under. Stayed on the strong side as he moved under.
The foul on Malinsky. Let's look ahead to the tournament that begins on Thursday in Madison Square Garden, New York City, because we do know some matchups. We know that the Eagles will be playing on Thursday. They will play Providence College, and if this stays the way it is right now, the second game will be Pitt against Miami.
That's right, and Connecticut would find itself matched up in the 6th slot against number 3, St. John's. And that would be the late game on Friday.
Ollie with 6. All at the foul line. 6 out of 7. Hasn't made a field goal tonight. 81-75.
Been solid with the ball, though, and given Jim Calhoun some nice minutes. Gonna call a foul on that, I think, over the back on Curley.
Over the back, and the foul, I think, is going to go on Terreno Walker.
Sean, I mean, he makes these 2 foul shots. We've got ourselves a 4-point game, and Connecticut, critical at this point when you're protecting your lead is to not turn it over, make your foul shots. BC, of course, will be doing everything it can to force the turnover.
Walker leaves as Fair returns. 81-75.
2 shots.
Curley with 21 tonight. Huckabee has 22, and his rebound total has gone up a bit. He's got 5. He's made 7 out of 10 from the field.
Jimmy O'Brien just put freshman Terry Roundtree into the game. I'm sure he'll be the guy to go out there and reach. Isley's got 5 fouls, so Jim O'Brien with a heads-up substitution there.
22 for Curley. 8 of 11 at the line. Jim O'Brien's club not out of it yet, down by 5.
They're lurking, particularly with that three-point weapon. Smith and Burrell need to handle it a lot late for UConn. You want them at the line.
81-74, still just a 2-possession basketball game. There is the foul.
Nice job. Burrell taking it out. UConn looking for Chris Smith. He's the man.
That's the second foul on Huckabee. Isley, Curley return. Let's double check Friday now as we look ahead to the Big East standings. Villanova and Syracuse, no matter what happens tomorrow, one of them will be seeded 4-1-5. They will play on Friday. And then Seton Hall against the winner of the Boston College Providence College game. That will be the second game on Friday afternoon.
All of these games will be competitive too. You've got to like Seton Hall's chances going into the tournament, but as we've seen all year, a lot of strange things have happened.
Chris Smith with 12 points in the second half, 15 in the game.
And obviously this is where you can put a game away. So important to have a guy like Chris Smith, which of course very few people do have, but someone that can handle the ball, make the foul shots, and just take over when the game's on the line.
16 now for Chris Smith. 83-77, 45 seconds to go. Molinsky trying to go back to Curley. The quick reach in by Huckabee. Let's check out the schedule in the Big East tournament on Friday evening. Georgetown against the winner of the game between Pitt and Miami. And then St. John's against number 6. Well, number 6 is playing right here. That's going to be UConn in that last game. And that's really not a fun game to play that 9 o'clock game on Friday, is it?
Well, you've got to sit around and wait for it. You'd rather probably just get out there at noontime and play right away, get out of bed. But they'll lace them up and play it late. People like that game, of course, the night session. That was a big turnover there by Molinsky as Connecticut now behind Smith can really put this thing away. And Chris Smith, always got to keep your eye on him. He was not in sync for part of this game, a big part of it, but as the second half is worn on, look at those numbers.
Well, you called it. You said he can open it up in the second half, and he scored 14 points after intermission.
Plus, he can make the difference when the game's on the line.
So Smith with 18, 85-77. They will let Isley go in because Marshall is there.
Nice rejection.
Ollie with it. And they can't even foul him. Marshall.
With an exclamation. Great job by Marshall. He has quietly but effectively got the job done tonight.
Back to a 10-point lead, and that should do it. Huckabee will take it down, and Huckabee with a 24-point ball game. Time winding down. They will not foul Marshall. Yeah, they do. Tried to get off a 3, and fouled by Isley, who is fouled out of the ball game with just 4 points. And our infinity player of the game, and what a stretch for Scott Burrell. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of 7 3-pointers, but those 5 3-pointers came in a row, and 3 of them to end the first half and give UConn the lead at intermission.
Now, because prior to that, John, in the first half, BC was in control of this game with the lead. He puts Connecticut ahead by 2 at halftime, helps build the lead early in the second half, and then after doing his job, turns it over late in the game to Chris Smith and says, all right, Chris, put this thing away, which Smith did. And this guy in the line, Donyell Marshall, has been very good in this game.
Double-double for Donyell. 17 points, make it 18. He's made 6 out of 6 at the line, and he has 11 rebounds. So a strong performance for Donyell.
Plus, he's had a couple of vintage rejections.
Boy, he's had more than a couple. He has such great timing on those blocks, and remember, it was a foul on a 3-point shot, so he's got 1 more stroke coming at the line. Which is a new career high for him if he hits this. in his freshman season.
Got a feeling he'll be taking this one to new levels as his career moves along, too. Got it.
19 for him.
A courageous effort by BC. It was a tough ball game, but credit to UConn, who seems to be heading back in the right direction.
The Huskies under coach Jim Calhoun win it by 10. That is their 19th win of the year. The Eagles of BC, 15-12 is where they will finish, 7-11 in conference play. And let's reset the standings. A three-way tie at the top. Syracuse, Villanova will play tomorrow for the 4-5 spot in the tournament. UConn will definitely wrap up that number 6 spot, and that will put Pitt against Miami in the game on Thursday night.
Should be a great tournament, John, and it's been a tremendous regular season. Good ball game tonight. Pleasure working with you.
For Ron Perry, I'm John Sanders.
But BC is better than they've been in recent years. Eric McLennan reports from the Gem.
UConn's game plan to push the ball up the floor and limit the turnovers. The plan failed early. Off the Rod Sellers turnover, BC breaks. Howard Isley completes a 9-0 run. The Eagles led it 12-5. With Kevin Ollie in the lineup midway through the first half, the game plan started to click. Ollie the dish to Daniel Marshall to tie it at 20. Ollie in the game for a career-high 22 minutes.
Has to be pretty gratifying for you to see more minutes now, especially down the stretch when these games mean so much.
Yeah, it's really gratifying, you know, to contribute to the team, especially when it's crunch time, you know, to be out there and get the feel of the crowd and know it's on the line.
But, you know, who needs a game plan when you have a hot shooter? The Huskies trailing by 5. Scott Burrell heats up for 3 here, 38-36 BC. Next trip down, Scott stops, pops, and drops the three-pointer. The Huskies take a 39-38 lead. And just for good measure, when all else fails, get the ball to Burrell. 3 seconds before the half ends, Burrell pulls up and buries the bomb. 14 first-half points. UConn led 42-40 at the break.
Yeah, I got luck in a couple.
Come on, it wasn't luck.
Yeah, it is.
BC takes the lead back when Bristol's Malcolm Huckabee nails the three-pointer. It was 50-47 Eagles. Huckabee finished with 24 points. But remember the game plan. Scott sure did. He cans the tray to tie it at 50. After scoring just 3 points in the first half, Chris Smith got going after sitting several minutes on the bench. He nails the three-pointer. UConn led it 66-60. Daniel Marshall produced a new career high off the Smith miss. Daniel tips. He had 19 points, 73-66 Huskies.
I was mad that I hit that. I missed that one free throw because me and Brian, you know, we were having a bet. See who had the most for the career high by the end of the season and stuff. You know, the season's not over, but you know, we just came in here laughing and stuff. He was happy I missed that free throw.
UConn finished with a balanced scoring attack. 5 players in double figures tonight as the Huskies win for the second straight time.
You know, I think this was a real big one. You know, it's our 19th win. You know, when we was losing, everyone was like counting us out. But we finished this year with more wins in the regular season than we did last year. You know, so we're all satisfied with that.
With tonight's 89-79 victory over Boston College, UConn finishes the Big East with a 10-8 record, 19-8 overall, and they assure themselves of the 6th seed in the Big East tournament next Friday. They'll play St. John's at 9:30 in Madison Square Garden. Eric McLennan, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, Chestnut Hill.